And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, the Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley, and I got with me a couple of dudes that stay on in the offseason. Cody Stavenhagen, Austin Jackson. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
What's good? What's good?
Hey, we're glad to have you back, Austin. It's been a while. A lot
I
of things
know,
have
man.
changed
Dang.
since the last
I
time we
know
talked
it.
to you.
Dang,
So
my
we got a
beard
lot to
growing.
go over to catch up. Yeah, a little beard growth. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Let's get
Well,
it.
yeah, let's kind of dive into it. We've done a lot of talk about being like in the moment with this Tigers team, and then the playoff run and extra inning, loss in Game 5, and like all this stuff. But as certain awards and accolades have started to trickle out, I think this is kind of like a good way to start. And for you, Austin, and Cody, obviously, look at this from a different perspective too. Like, what is the best way to kind of talk about and refer to the 2025 Tigers? Because on one hand, you had the All Stars, you were the best team in baseball for a good stretch, and you did advance around in the playoffs at the end, but in the middle, it was pretty rough. It was rough go, like historically rough. But then you look back and you go to the baseball reference page for the team, and you're going to have the Cy Young Award winner, and you're going to have two Silver Sluggers, and you're going to have a Gold Glove catcher. And so it's like, as bad as it felt in the moment, there were a lot of good things that happened, and sometimes it's kind of hard to mesh all that stuff. So I guess, Austin, from your perspective, like what's kind of like the proper way to look at the 2025 Tigers?
Who, man? I think it's all in how you really want to look at it. Like, because I think you got to consider two different things really with this team. Is this the type of team that obviously this is another year of playoff experience, and that means something. That's not just regular season baseball. That's playoff experience. You get another notch of playoff experience under your belt, and that very well and probably is going to help some of the younger guys. Once you keep getting that experience, that playoff experience, just being in those moments, that crowd, just that whole vibe of playoff, you become kind of addicted to that. So I think that it'll definitely help. But then you have to start to ask yourself, well, is this the right recipe for talent though to take them to that next level? It's not that they don't have talent. You just mentioned all the accolades, personal accolades of some players. So we know they have the talent. But is this the makeup of a World Series type team? We saw this World Series and we saw how it's a star-studded event. Now it ain't just. I don't know if they have the stardom like that to compete with those type of teams. And you know what? I gotta retract something I said earlier because I will admit it. I don't really want to, but I got to. Somebody made it a point to say they don't have the stars. And I was like, we don't need the stars, whatever. But then when I kind of watched the World Series, I was like, you know what? This is a star-studded event, and you need the stars. You need the guys to show up that are getting paid a lot of money. And again, so I say all that to come back to how do you sum up this team? And I think it's more on. I'm not quite sure that this team has enough talent. They have the talent to definitely get them back to the playoffs. But again, when you look at the World Series and you saw the lineups and you saw the pitching matchups that were rolling out there, does this team have what it takes to compete with teams like that? I'm not sure it is. So I would say this is a talented team, but probably not enough talent to get them past where they've been getting. Sorry, that was a long-winded. I got long-winded. It's been a
Oh,
long
hey.
time, fellas. It's been a
Yeah,
long
hey,
time.
Austin,
I
just
got a
cover
lot
the
to
last
say.
couple months for us real quick. 20 seconds, go. No, I think that's a good answer, Austin, and I think a lot of people feel that way, obviously. We all went through it, we all watched it, and I still think it's so interesting because September was so bad and the playoffs were so
Yeah,
just tense, but it kind of felt like you just didn't have enough that it's
yeah,
kind of skewed a lot of people's perceptions, mine included, of the whole year. Like we've talked so
yeah.
much about like, well, they chase too much, they strike out too much. They do strike out a lot. Their chase rate was 16th. It was slightly better than league average. As a lineup,
Mm.
the whole year, they did not chase that much. And so when we talk about the offseason, like how are they, what are they going to add? We'll find out Tuesday afternoon, 4 p.m., if Gleyber Torres accepts the qualifying offer or not, which I think is going to have a lot of trickle-down effects. But I'm kind of, and Kieran and I have been back and forth on this, like, kind of still leaning to, I don't know what they're going to do in terms of upgrading the positional talent. I think they're going to stick to their guns. Look at this real quick. Youngest teams. This is the amount of plate appearances from batters 25 or younger. Tigers are 4th. So they have a lot of young hitters that didn't actually chase that much, that ranked 11th in run scoring. For as much as we would like to see them go make a big splash, we talk about Colt Keith, like, I think they might stick to their guns. Now, should they be cautious in doing that? Look at this list if you're watching on YouTube, the 10 teams with the most at-bats from hitters 25 or younger. One thing I notice, not that many good teams.
A lot of bad
Tigers and Guardians, I think, are the only playoff teams. Look at the oldest teams.
Yeah.
A lot of good ones.
Philadelphia,
And
Dodgers.
this is Mariners, Cubs.
Yeah.
And this is age 26 or younger because the Phillies and Padres didn't have anyone 25 or younger. So for as much as youth and like your homegrown sustainable core is like all good, having veteran position players seems to correlate to winning.
Well, yeah.
Like
I mean,
that.
that's.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm still training. So hey.
Well, there's only one way to. I mean, and I like that Ajax brought up the notion of getting playoff experience because I would imagine, obviously I don't know this personally, but I would imagine it's one of those things that you only know until you experience it. Like you just can't like anticipate what that's like. I mean, the Tigers played 10. No, they played 8 games, right, Cody, in the playoffs this year, and 3-5.
Felt like it was
That could be
50. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like from us, like just doing this, Cody with his
Eight.
writing, it felt like 50. But like for a player like us, I'm curious. These like short playoff series and like the intensity. I was at all the games in Cleveland. Like the intensity of every pitch. Like how exhausting is it emotionally, physically, and the adrenaline aspect too that you mentioned to like play in these playoff series that are so hotly contested and everything on the line. Obviously, what's the difference?
Dude, it's amazing, but it shaves years off your life, days off your life. Okay, you know what I mean? Like the stress level, the intensity of everything, every pitch, every play, every swing, every throw, everything is just so magnified. And again, it is addicting though, because when you get to that point, everything just becomes secondary. How you've done during the season, how your body feels, just anything that you're going through, it just becomes so much like secondary. So, the grind that we call it, the journey of a full season and then getting to the playoffs, I mean, it changes you because you're always going to be chasing it. Once you get there, you're always going to be chasing it. And I felt like I chased that. Every team that I went to, I wanted to be in the playoffs. So being in that situation, which started really with the Tigers, everywhere I went, that's kind of what I expected. I expected that of myself and, obviously the organization. But this experience for the youth is going to be, obviously it's going to help. It's going to help because you don't get to mimic those at bats in the playoffs. You've been through the grind of a season and realized where y'all struggled, where y'all were up, and then where y'all hit your peak and started going down. And those are things individually that you assess, after the season and say, hey, what can I do as a player? My performance, what can I do? And also, what do I need to get better at? Physically, my body, is there any limitations? Is my mobility off? All of those things, come into play after the season. Things that you want to get better at, and things that you just that you hope that you can correct that you didn't do so well the previous season?
Yeah, Austin, one thing we've talked about is how going from good to great as a team might be the hardest step there is in sports. Harder than going from bad to good, maybe is good to great. You got traded to the 2015 Cubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they went on to win it in 16. I know you weren't part of that team, but when you were there in
Yeah.
15, could you tell that they were close to taking it to the next level?
Not really, though. Not really, because I think that the clubhouse in Detroit was so unique, and I think honestly, all the clubhouses are unique. I think that every clubhouse has their own little niche, everything that they do as a team. But going over there, it was so laid back that I was like, nah, man. Like this is too chill. Like it was too chill. It was like, there's no way this is not gonna happen. Like it's gonna explode at some point because it's just everybody's attitude. And listen, I'm not saying it was bad by any means. It was just different. I feel like than what I've experienced in a clubhouse. Madden was very very chill. You know what I mean? Very laid back. You got to understand. I had Mr. Leland. So that's a different personalities right there. But I didn't honestly think that they were the next year would win it. I was like, nah, this just not enough structure. Even though there was structure, just not the structure. Obviously, again, that I felt that I was used to. But I was obviously all the way wrong, and that formula works. Just chilling, just showing up in a jersey and going out on the field and hitting BP, that works. The guys they feed off of that. So yeah, I mean, I didn't see it coming, but man, it'd have been nice to be a part of it though.
Well, that's interesting. I think maybe the lesson there is like, who knows? You never know.
You don't know in this sport, man. You just don't. Like anybody, you think that you have the right formula, like we were just talking about. You don't need stars, but you kind of do, right? Like you kind of need those big time guys in those big moments, right? Like you nobody's Otani. That is crazy. That's a cheat code that nobody else has to be able to utilize that at any given point in a playoff game. You got a guy that can go 101 on the bump and then go out 3 times. That's different, man. And actually do it in big time situations is what I'm talking about. We got good players, like you said, to take them to great. That's a whole different level. Do we have what it takes to take it to great? I don't know. I just don't know if it's that. It might be some pieces need to be added to get to that great. But where and how do you do that, right?
Yep, if we knew the answer to that, we wouldn't be doing a podcast. We'd be running a baseball team. So
Right.
that's the magic question. I would imagine that the front office of the Tigers would say that because of the youth that Cody displayed earlier, like we are getting to that point with this core, blah blah blah. I believe that would probably be their answer. It's not very satisfactory, like in terms of like a sexy thing to say, as opposed to like trading for so and so or whatever, signing an Otani basically. That's obviously the sexier thing to do than be like, oh yeah, just wait a couple of years, and when Riley Green is 27 years old, he's gonna be doing this. It's like one thing's here and now, man. 2 times in the playoffs, divisional. But again, that's actually a good accomplishment. 2 times in the divisional round to Game 5. I don't want to take anything away from that, but now that you've gotten a taste of that, the key is to, like Cody said, go from good to great. We are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to find out from Austin, unique perspective on the game, being a former player, being a father. What's the state of the game today? But first, a word from our sponsors.
AJ, we're going to do things a little bit differently here. I am wearing the Perfect Jean, and I remember seeing ads for the Perfect Jean, like most comfortable fit ever, perfect fit on your body, and I was like, I'm not buying it. Now, I'm buying it, and we're showing it off on FT.
Please get off my desk, first of all, Scott. Second of all, I was with you. I was skeptical about Perfect Jean, and then I got a pair, and the fitting was perfect. And my body's not hard to fit because I got a big old rear and big old legs from years of squatting, and they fit perfectly. They're stretchy, they're comfortable, they're fashionable. They're everything I look for in a jean, and now I have an extra pair, and I'm going to wear them all the time.
FOUL15 is the code at theperfectjean.nyc. FT listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use code FOUL15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with promo code FOUL15. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them Foul Territory sent you.
All right, coming back here. We
I love y'all, man. Y'all are really cool, but not gonna happen. Never. Sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
All right. Thank you to Perfect Gene for sponsoring this podcast. So one of the things that I observed this fall, especially once the Tigers were out of the playoffs, and I could just kind of watch the CS and the World Series as just a general fan of the game, was it did feel like baseball was part of the national conversation. The playoffs, the World Series was part of the national conversation in ways that I didn't feel like it was the previous, 5-6 years, take whatever time period you want. So I feel pretty good about where the game is, where Major League Baseball is right now. It feels like it's in a healthy place. But I'm curious, Austin, your perspective as someone, obviously, veteran of the game, doing this podcast, did the Cleveland Guardians TV. You got a son who's playing, and so I'm just curious, like your perspective on the health of baseball and Major League Baseball and its place kind of in our country and our discourse and all that stuff.
I used to be a dinosaur. I'm still a dinosaur a little bit. So I still like old school stuff. Like I've just always been a fan of the old school. But watching the World Series, that does a lot for getting me to come over to the new side, I guess. I won't call it the dark side. I'll say the new side. But I love that. I
mean, we did have a bunt in the last inning of the World Series.
We did. So. I know. There was, and it was great. I love it though, man. Like it's still there. You got to do those things. But to see like the big time like home runs, the big time pitching performances, man, and not so much of a small ball way really excites me. I don't know how much of that is the reason, I guess, for the excitement in the game. Is it more of the home runs? Because I mean, we've seen that over the years that the home run is obviously more valued, or its value has went up since I feel like that I played. Like the value of a home run is like 2-3 times more than what it used to be. So I think that us seeing more of that is the reason why it's being more national televised. And you got guys like Ohtani, guys from other countries coming over and showing out on the biggest stage. I think it just does something for the world to see, and it does something for so many youth athletes that might have never seen a player that looked like them playing the game in the World Series, and they're making it fun and they're making it exciting. I love where it's at right now. I was a little skeptical, but I love where it's at now. It's a different style of baseball. It's more exciting to see the home runs. I'm starting to not be as mad at all the strikeouts. I'm just kind of like, all right, if you're going up there and you're trying to slug one out, all right, go ahead. Like at least you're trying to. I do miss the small ball, but I do love that. Like we're seeing a lot more power in the game. Who doesn't want to see power in the game? I love to see when there's power. I don't like to see my youth kids try to hit for power, but I like watching it. I like watching it. So I think the game has evolved and it's headed in a good place. Obviously, there's some things that we can talk about to get more diverse in the game, but I like from my vantage point where I'm at, and I get to see the different diversity in the youth baseball. It's pretty cool. There's a lot coming. So and I like where the game is. They're making it cool again. They're making it fun. They're making it something that you can watch and enjoy. So I like where it's at.
I think contact's becoming cool again, Austin. The Toronto Blue Jays led the regular season in batting average. They led the postseason
Yeah.
in batting average. They were a pretty
Yeah.
contact-oriented team and helped them take the star-studded Dodgers, who can also hit for average, helped
Yeah.
them take them to the brink.
Yeah, it's kind of like in basketball, the analogy would be like the 3-pointer. They had like
Yeah.
that surge of 3-pointers, but
Yes.
it's like the Golden State Warriors didn't win all those championships because they hit only because they hit a lot of threes. They were also like the best
Correct.
defensive team. So a lot of times
Correct.
we like kind of label like eras or teams or trends and think it's kind of like exclusively that, when actually it's they're just like great at this, but they do everything else really well too.
Right.
And sometimes we forget about that. I'm curious, Ajax. Does your son have a favorite MLB player besides you, of course?
Well, he kind of goes back and forth with who's ever hot, but he's been on Aaron Judge kick. He's been on Aaron Judge for a while. I was like, dude, that's not a bad one at all. That's not a bad one at all. I approve of that one. Matter of fact, now don't try to do that, but I approve of that. That's a good one. So,
Is he going to get to be 6'7"?
Probably not. He ain't. Yeah. Oh, I hear this all day, every day. I hear it all day. If they get on the bases, it's this. I'm like, oh, yeah. Here we go. But no, he just loves the game, which that's what I really like. That he follows players, but we talk more about the game, which is pretty cool, like situations more than we talk. Well, he asks about home runs a lot. And that's how he's starting to value if a player's good or not. How many home runs he hit? I'm like, bro, it don't work. It don't work like that, man. You can't do that. Well, he ain't that good because he only got 8 home runs. I was like, bro, stop. It does not work like that. Well, look at Aaron. I'm like, bro, Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. He's one of one, brother. Like, yeah, he's on another level. That doesn't mean everybody else isn't good, though.
We don't have to get too deep into it because it would probably take 4 hours. But you mentioned the diversity aspect, and I think that's fascinating. You lived it as a player, living it now as a father. Making the game more accessible, I think, is definitely a problem, whether we're talking race, whether we're talking just class income at this point because of how expensive and time-consuming it is to do the travel circuit and the perfect game. And I think that's even leading to a generation of major league players that are kind of all products of the perfect game circuit. And maybe they, how many Josh Naylors are there out there that are real grinders that maybe learned the game a different way or learned to play the game a different way. So anyway, that's a very big question, but just as someone who's lived it, like, are we coming back from this? Is there ever going to be a way again to make this more accessible to everybody?
You know what? That's a great question. I think that there's things in place, to try to better that, to try to make the game more accessible. But those things are just in place. There has to be people. There has to be faces out there on the line. Like, it just does, and they need to see it. Not just from. They need to see a player. Unfortunately, that's what it is. Players. They see these guys as role models. They look up to you, as they should, because you're doing something that's their dream, that's their goal, is to be where you're at. So I think players, current players, even former players, staying involved and make sure that the youth is seeing your face, because I think that's the biggest thing that I noticed when I was younger. Getting to see. Manny Ramirez, getting to see Jim Tomei, getting to see Rusty Greer, and them give us like just little tidbits on throwing or hitting. That I think that type of stuff goes a long way. And like I said, I know it's in place. I see it all the time on social media. Guys out doing camps, just volunteering, and I think those are just things that have to continue to happen. Whether it ever gets back to where it's accessible to every kid, I don't know, because it's just expensive, man. The sport, and as I'm finding out, youth baseball is expensive, so you got to take those things into consideration too. And everything's expensive right now. Everything. This ain't cheap out here.
Sometimes, man.
It's big business, and I want to move on to another topic because I think we should talk about this. No, I'm serious. I think we should talk about this for like a whole episode and just kind of really dive in. So we'll have plenty of time to do that because it is a fascinating discussion that I do feel pretty passionate about. Ajax, what's a player exit meeting like? I'm really curious, like what, especially from that time and in your career when you were in Detroit. I'm sure Jim Leland probably had some funny quotes or whatever about like how the season went. We got to work on or whatever. But like, what is from your perspective, from a player's perspective, how does that go? And like, did you value it then or now looking back?
I mean, from an individual standpoint, obviously, you're going to look at you're going to assess, you know, review basically your season and how it went from a performance standpoint, and that's pretty natural. Everybody does that. Whether you did something, whether you had a great season or a career season, or you had your worst season ever, you look at your body of work and what you could basically improve on, and then you look at the how your body feels, and going through therapy or doing whatever it is to get your body back. But I think that if I'm not mistaken, what you're trying to say, like as a team, what's the team exit? I think that everything is positive, obviously, after a long season like that, where you've made it further than the majority of the teams. And, whether you go out, get swept, or you take it to a game 7 or, whatever it is, it's always positive. But there's so much like eagerness to want to like get to the off season and like get to work. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want that feeling to go away. You don't want to take too much time off. Like you're the at least the clubhouse that I've been in, where we had an exit from the playoffs, it was always like, hey, let's stay hungry. Let's stay hungry for the off season. Like let's kind of lean on each other to be able to do that. Hey, hit me up, I hit you up. Let's kind of hold each other accountable in that regards. And so it was positive, but it was always to like stay hungry, because nobody likes that taste that was left in their mouth from losing. So everybody would go into the playoffs super hungry. Guys would, keep in touch and just kind of hold each other accountable, check in on guys. But yeah, it was like I'm ready to get back to work, because I want to remember how I feel right now, and I don't want to do this again. I'm tired of getting beat at this point in the season. So I'm ready to get it going.
So did you even have like the formal exit meeting with the manager or the front office to talk about where you stand or goals or anything like that? Because the Tigers are pretty big on it, from what I understand, is doing that with guys.
I'm trying to think. Well, I know, like I said, the meeting with the manager in there, obviously talking about what I just talked about. But then we would have a meeting with the strength and conditioning guy. I think the meeting that you're talking about, that kind of happens like in the off season, when you kind of get a call and just kind of go over that what I think the team sees from you. But like right after the season, I remember talking to Leland, and a lot of times it was just really quick, just like on the way out. But it was like I was telling you, just about, hey, like stay hungry, like keep improving. A lot of it was talking about like getting back, getting strength back, getting healthy, because I would lose so much weight. So a lot of the conversations at my exit meetings were about physically coming back and being stronger, putting on muscle. Those are things that I think as a team and myself, we agreed on that's what I wanted to work on in the off season, and they were on board with that.
Sure.
Well, that's fascinating that it's like, all right, yeah, you just went through a grueling year. It's like, all right, now go put on some weight. It's like that's
go put on some weight, bro. You're skinny.
like oh, cool, thanks. I let my body recover first.
But also too, though, Kieran, but if it with I know with the hitting coach, we got a few times where like we would kind of sit down earlier in the off season and just talk about what we want to work on in the off season, swing wise. You know, we want to start working on the things and implementing those things and trying to come up with a schedule to where, you know, we can get down to Tampa and, you know, or up to Detroit for a week or whatever and do some extra hitting so you can get on the same page. So that's something that, you know, guys do too with the pitching coach, with the hitting coach, and, you know, with everybody. So.
Would you like pay attention or be like really up to date on things like what the Tigers are going through with like Gleyber Torres right now, where he's got a couple days or today, by the time you guys are listening to this episode, to decide to whether to take the qualifying offer or not? Like, were you just kind of like, I'll figure it out when I figure it out, or would you be like eagerly anticipating some of these things happening or not happening with like your teammates or potential new teammates in free agency and all that stuff? Like, what was your head out on that?
Oh yeah, I was definitely invested in it because, you know, there's guys that you played with maybe for a couple years and you realize that they're not coming back, so you want to check up on them, see where they're going, but you also know that they need to replace him, so you know you're very into, like, you know, what moves are being made, especially coming off a playoff bound season where you're like, hey, we've got there. So what moves are going to be made if you're not bringing my man back? Like, who are you bringing in to replace him? And it's going to give us that edge. So yeah, I was definitely involved in all the transactions, and I just wanted to know. I wanted to see that we, you know, if we were serious about getting, you know, to that next level. So.
And how often did you find out about a big move before, you know, fans and the public, or was it normally at the same time as everyone else, or did you ever have the inside edge, the inside scoop?
I didn't. I think one time. I'm trying to think with Prince. That I felt like for some reason I knew before. I don't remember how I knew, but I remember I was pumped up because I was like, dog, no way, we just, like, for real, like, how did we do that? And but I forgot. I knew, but I found out before. I forgot how I found out, but I just remember I was pumped, man, when they got P. I love that move.
Ajax, already a journalist, not revealing his sources.
I can't tell you, man. I can't tell you. Cody over here, he might, you know.
Every now and then, but it's a strange game out there. It's a strange
Hey,
game
I'm finding out. I'm getting it.
All right, a lot of good discussions today, and a lot of stuff that we can kind of build on this offseason as it plays out. But it was a lot of fun to kind of look back. Again, you're so forward thinking when you do this, and you're like, all right, again, what moves are they going to make? Blah blah blah. Every now and then, it's fun to look back and just like kind of remember, like, okay, let that kind of shape your mindset right now. It's like the team,
Right.
It was bad in September, but they were actually pretty good. So let's like remember they were pretty good, and then kind of build on that. And so. Enjoyed all of it. Anything else, fellas, before we get out of here?
Nah, man, it was fun. It was great as always, man. Long time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Glad to have you back on. Hope to get you back on with us again soon and throughout this off season for some more insight. I know the people love it coming from you.
Yeah, man. I'm here for it. Let's get it.
All right. Well, you can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Tiger Territory _. Be sure to go to TigerTerritoryShop.com for all your Tiger Territory needs, like this hat that I got on right now, and follow us on YouTube as we try to grow there, so you can follow along with the graphics that Cody pulls up. He does a really good job, kind of, giving some imagery to the talking points that we have here. So appreciate everybody who has subscribed all along, and hope if you're new, please subscribe, rate, and review so we can continue to grow the show. So for Cody Stavenhagen, Austin Jackson, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.